Oh boy, this is an impromptu recording. So Chaos Dwarfs DLC trailer just dropped at like 12:30 or something. Later than I expected. I thought I was fine to settle in for a recording with Addy and Pink, my buddies on the old Devolution channel. And so we were deep into that, and I saw this trailer drop, and I am bumping on over to react to this and more likely talk about it at length. I want to get it over with quickly, though, so I can get back to what I was doing with my friends. So, Chaos Dwarfs. I am hyped. One of the most unique designs in the Warhammer Fantasy universe. I am expecting to see Astrogoth Iron Hand, probably some cool cinematics. I don't even know what units we're going to see, but I am hyped. Let's just... Oh, I guess. Am I recording? I've been recording for 50 seconds. Aces. This is... I hope this comes through right. Let's go. Hype.
Forsaken, abandoned to the dark, what choice but to follow the flame?
This is the first female dwarf we've actually got to hear the voice of in Total War Warhammer. Though we have seen a picture of a female dwarf because of the dwarf bride follower you can get when you play as the main Karazhan-Core dwarf. So. Ooh. Oh boy. I'll go backwards and dissect this stuff whenever I've finished the whole trailer. Snotling Slave.
The fire to tear down the old.
Hang on, I need to put this in full screen. I am just entirely unprofessional here. Orc slaves. Oh wow, whip marks on the back. That's brutal. That's a hobgoblin.
Ways, burning away all
Full centaurs.
Fear, doubt.
That's a more colorful guy than I was expecting. Ooh.
Nothing remains but power and ambition. This roaring fire will always demand more. More fuel. More sacrifice. The fiercest heat to forge the hardest steel.
Okay, I said I would wait and pause it afterwards, but that Chaos Dwarf back there, get a load of this guy, his face mask. I just had an idea. He's got like a kind of a jaw guard here. In the Warhammer Fantasy universe, is that supposed to be where the orcs get their little jaw guard gimmick they like? Is it supposed to be from that? Because so much of the greenskins, other than the savage greenskins, forest goblins, so much of the greenskins culture kind of derives from their time as slaves under the Chaos Dwarfs and their rebellion. Which, of course, is why they despise the hobgoblins, because the hobgoblins sold them out. Interesting.
The fiercest heat to forge the hardest steel. Destiny, rising from within the crucible.
Ooh.
To seize the world with this fire is to see it burn first.
Ooh. Alright then, we gonna get a post-trailer teaser? Or something else? Or is that gonna be it? Can I go backwards? Chaos Dwarfs, hit us with that release date. April 13th. What awesome art. I am loving it. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Let's see, are we gonna be pushing forward any further? No, we aren't. Okay, it's just gonna be the second logo. Let's go back then. Let's hit that freeze frame bonus. Let's go ahead and let's... Love the narration.
Forsaken.
I was kind of surprised we did... I'm wondering if this means what I've been wondering. So the Chaos Dwarfs for Legendary Lords are a bit iffy. Astrogoth Ironhand we saw in the trailer. Drazoth the Ashen is another obvious one. There's Zoltan the Black, but he's a bit boring. Torger Cackheart would be a cool candidate, but it's difficult to see what he could really do on land. People really just want him for the Kraken, including myself. I want him for the Kraken. Though they probably could just sneak that in as the regular ship that Chaos Dwarfs use whenever they're at sea. Gordu's Backstabber would be cool to have a Goblin Lord, but at the same time it wouldn't make sense for any Chaos Dwarfs to follow him. So, the question was, who's going to be the 4th Legendary Lord, or even the 3rd? Because Zatan the Black is almost so boring they might want to just leave him out altogether as well. I'm thinking this voice we're hearing is a new Creative Assembly or Games Workshop The Old World creation. It is going to be a female Chaos Dwarf Legendary Lord. We don't know very much about the female Chaos Dwarfs, I believe, other than that they exist, and that they are even smaller in population than the mainline dwarfs female to male ratio, because there are a lot of Chaos Dwarf women who die giving birth to bull centaurs. So we've not really got to see them. We've not got to see a lot about the Chaos Dwarfs, but we've not really got to see them in particular. Okay, let's zip on ahead here. I don't need to see the Warhammer. Okay, for this opening shot here, that looks like a regular train with the cannons attached. Regular Chaos Dwarf warriors charging in. I'm surprised. It looks like they're doing what they really should have done, which is combine the 4th edition Chaos Dwarf army list with the 8th edition Tamarcon Legion of Asgore army list. There was a bit of a question of which they'd focus on, because the Chaos Dwarf army list from 4th edition is very cheesy in that old-fashioned style. Legion of Asgore is very serious. Legion of Asgore, the regular units are Ironsworn, who... Ironsworn is the elite variant. What's the name of the standard variant? Oh, I'm having a... Maybe it's Ironsworn and the elite variant are Infernal Ironsworn? Oh, Ooh. Whatever, I won't focus on it. But Chaos Dwarf Warriors were not a choice you could take on the Legion of Asgore army list, I believe. That was a 4th edition. So we're getting the combo there. Now, as a flame cannon, we've got Chaos Dwarf siege towers with gouts of flame coming out of them. We can see some bull centaurs here and some orc slaves up front. Alright. They're sieging a dwarf settlement. We have Chaos Dwarf Warriors with blunderbusses, and they've still got shields. Okay, so it's a blunderbuss unit, but they've got shields so they can deal with enemy missiles pretty well. And they're still very heavy infantry. They have designs that are very similar to the standard Karazhan Core Dwarf Warriors. But you can see by the gauntlets and elbow pads they have, I need to just help myself to some Mediterranean food, and it's coming back up on me. Ever since I caught COVID, I've been having greater issues with it. I don't know, I hear COVID affects everybody. They've got the tall hats, so they've kind of struck the compromise here that I think was natural to have the compromise. The mainline Chaos Dwarf Warriors get tall hats. Lords and Sorcerers get taller hats. The Ironsworn get no hats, they get helmets. You can see a bullshit going there. Goblin Slave.
Fire to tear down the old ways.
Orc Slaves. Hobgoblin. I'm surprised the Hobgoblins look so similar to the Night Goblins, but that is tabletop accurate. A lot of people might get confused by this and think that we are going to get the Hobgoblins from Age of Sigmar, or Hobgrots as they're called. No. This is the way Hobgoblins are dressed in Warhammer Fantasy. And honestly, there'd be good enough reason to believe that the Night Goblins are almost dressed like... There's like a cultural lineage you can see there for how the Night Goblins are. The Hobgoblins are probably... Hobgoblin culture is probably older because the Greenskins do come from the Darklands, I believe. Though I'd love if I'm wrong for somebody to correct me. So, odds are the Greenskin cultures out in the Darklands are probably the oldest. The Hobgoblins, for those who aren't aware, are the, I guess, top of the slave caste. They're the only kinds of Greenskin that the Chaos Dwarfs treat with some degree of respect. Largely because the Hobgoblins betrayed the other Greenskins during the Greenskin slave rebellions. For those who don't know, the Greenskin Chaos Dwarf feud there is one of the few instances in the Warhammer Fantasy world where the Greenskins are the good guys. The Greenskins may have an unending love for battle and lust for warfare, but at the end of the day, it's still messed up to enslave them. And you can see how messed up it is.
Burning away.
Okay, so they're dragging away the loot from this battle with the dwarfs. There's a bull centaur there with great weapons. We've got Hobgoblin Wolf Riders right there. some Chaos Dwarf warriors with halberds.
They all
And then this guy wearing a very bright blue, which is a surprise to me.
fear doubt.
Also, the Chaos Dwarfs are beating on their fellow dwarfs in this trailer. That is a little bit of a surprise to me, because Chaos Dwarfs and dwarfs don't actually get so much storied interaction in the lore. So I guess it would be kind of boring to see orc slaves fighting regular orcs. Because in the lore that exists for the Chaos Dwarfs, most of their documented conflict is with the Greenskin. A little bit of feuding with Cathag.
And
That is a sick-looking lord, by the way. Okay, the Hobgoblin Wolf Riders look awesome. Also, look at that armor. That is like some neat, like... I'm so bad with knowing armors and with knowing historical armors. It looks like what a Mongolian warrior would have wore. And thankfully, these Hobgoblins don't look as racist as the old school Hobgoblin depictions. For those who have never seen the old school Hobgoblin depictions, they were rough.
weakness.
Oh yeah, that Hobgoblin looks great. Oh, I'm gonna build a lot of Hobgoblin Wolf Riders. That is a great depiction of the Ziggurat of Zarnagrund, though it's not quite as explicitly Mesopotamian as I would have liked. I always dug that the Chaos Dwarfs were so explicitly Mesopotamian. Also, get a load of these fuel lines. The Chaos Dwarfs have got the industry of the dwarfs down pat. Now, I have to assume they don't use beer for fuel like the Karasankor dwarfs. I have to assume they probably just use actual fuel, gasoline, have you. Also, I noticed this as soon as I saw it. Chaos Dwarf cities look like they're actually a derivative of the Karasankor dwarf cities. That's not what I expected, but I do like that. Because it always was a little bit odd to me seeing the Chaos Dwarfs in some depictions in the Warhammer Fantasy art. And there are times where you wonder, like, there seems like there's almost no similarity between them and the Karasankor. Which, Chaos's influence, you would expect them to lead off in some directions, which is why there are so many smokestacks and idols to HASHUT here. But you would also expect them to have still some resemblance to the Karasankor dwarfs. They're right next to each other.
Nothing remains but power.
Okay, this is the internals of a factory. I'm actually really curious about... Usually when they make these cutscenes, you expect them to use battle maps that are going to be reused elsewhere, as like a siege map or something. This one, though, doesn't... Like, I doubt there's going to be a section where you ever get to fight inside of a factory. So I'd be curious if they've started making locations like this for just the trailers.
And ambition.
Okay, let's see. We can see right here already, there's some... It looks like some Chaos Warriors trading with the Chaos Dwarf, because that's how the Chaos Warriors get a lot of their equipment, is from the Chaos Dwarfs. And they're building one of the demon engines right there, which is the famous Chaos Dwarf trains. Which seem to be simultaneously probably some kind of mechanized chariot while also having some light artillery mounted on top. So that's going to be an interesting unit to use. You can see some Iron Sworn down here. Look at that industrial fan. That's just how far ahead the Chaos Dwarfs are on industry compared to everyone else. That's kind of crazy.
This roaring fire will always demand more.
Hang on, let's go back just a second.
This roaring fire will always demand more.
That guy's a hero. I'm going to go ahead and take a bet now. That guy is what the Demon Smith Sorcerer.
More fuel.
And right now they are building a Ground Shaker Cannon, I believe is the name. Which is the Ogre-operated cannon mortar hybrid unit that has the very cool Ogre Slave miniature operating. Awesome.
More sacrifice.
Again, this guy is weird. This guy, maybe this is the Infernal Castellan hero, which might be their melee hero. Alternatively, he might be some kind of in-game elite infantry that isn't the Ironsworn, but it'd be odd for them to introduce that. The Ironsworn, to me, seem like they're already pretty well fit for being the Chaos Dwarfs' elite infantry, and the Chaos Dwarfs shouldn't have necessarily a stronger infantry game than, say, the Karasankor Dwarfs, since they already are so strong in so many other ways, having access to so many cheap, crappy units in the form of the slaves and goblin slaves, having access to solid cavalry, solid monsters, solid artillery, solid lord heroes.
The fiercest heat to forge.
Okay, there's the old Hell Cannon crew right there. I bet their models still look terrible. Maybe they got updated. They probably got updated. Oh, wow, that's in a big array of war machines in the background. Wow. Okay, so these are all demon engines, it looks like. Except we've got some of the classic demon engines, they're just a train engine, but then we've got some of these weird ones with the hammers and picks and buzzsaws on front. Which is a nice little send up to the very goofy old 4th edition Chaos Dwarf units. And I believe this was a unit that these guys, these goofy pickaxe buzzsaw engines were in the Legion of Asgore. They even had a mention. But they're a send up to a very goofy old, like, unit that the Chaos Dwarfs had in 4th edition that had a similar thing going on there. Yeah, that is just cool to see, but we get a better look at those later in the trailer.
The hardest.
It's crazy to see Chaos Dwarf industry at its height. There we go, there's the Iron Sworn. And it looks like these guys are all packing great weapons. Though, they will almost certainly also get Fire Glaives, which would pretty well make them the Chaos Dwarf equivalent of Streltsy. For those who haven't seen the Fire Glaives, they are a rifle with a axe head on the bottom of the barrel, I believe. So they can shoot, and then they can charge in and start swinging the axe. So, probably armor-piercing at both range and melee.
Destiny.
Okay, they might have actually came with the Infernal Castellan. I was kind of expecting there to not be Infernal Castellans, because Crave Assembly's been trying to avoid adding just generic melee heroes for a while. For instance, they skipped the Bruiser when they were making the Ogre Kingdoms, and instead just went for the Hunter, the Firebelly, and the Butcher. But those look like Infernal Castellans. I can't really see what else they could. So we probably will be getting the Infernal Castellan melee. The DLC team may have honestly just said, we're going to go ahead and put in everything. Which, so far, I'm seeing lots of different things. Some of them I didn't expect.
Rising.
And that is a Sorcerer Prophet. So that's one of the 2 Lord types we have. The other Lord type we get will be this Chaos Dwarf Lord kicking over the regular Dwarf. So we will have both Lord types. That's nice to see. I doubt we'll get a Bull Centaur Lord, but some modder will probably make.
From within the crucible.
I like how, okay, first of all, nice face. Second of all, I like how you could see chaotic runes surrounding the Sorcerer Prophet as he was digging his hand around in the magic pot. Magic pot. Hang on, let's go back just a second here. You can see Lammasu flying around Zarnagron. That's cool. Bull Centaur with some Kadai Fireborn in front, then some Iron Sworn, and then another Infernal Engine, Demon Engine, whatever it's called. Okay, I'm wondering, we've got some Iron Sworn actually have a flaming helmet. So that makes me think they actually even went to the trouble of including the Infernal Iron Sworn, which makes sense, because that's a full unit you can add that doesn't require any new asset. We've got one Bull Centaur here, but then this one is heavily armored, which makes me wonder if that actually will be the Bull Centaur hero. Then we've got these couple guys here with the skull masks and the big hats. These guys don't look like Chaos Dwarf Warriors or Infernal Guard. So, that's curious. I don't recognize those guys from any of the Chaos Dwarf stuff I've seen before. Those, I want to say that the only Chaos Dwarf thing I can remember looking at that looked like that, I want to say was fan art. I could be wrong, though. I'd love for someone to correct me. What? Heck. Now what? Oh, what is that? Oh, it's probably a Kadai Fireborn. Okay. Glad to see them get in. And the Kadai Destroyers, which the Astrogoth making a new one at the end of the trailer. Astrogoth from behind. I'm glad to see they compromised between the 4th edition and 8th edition designs. I know a lot of people like the 8th edition Astrogoth that looks kind of more machine than man, this kind of abomination. But the 4th edition Astrogoth was a little goofy. They couldn't adapt him straight. I think the 8th edition Astrogoth lacks character. I think there needs to be a contrast between the power of Astrogoth's mechanical suit, but also the visible frailty of Astrogoth's regular dwarven body. Because that's Astrogoth's character, he is the leader of the Sorcerer Prophets. He's the leader of pretty well all Chaos Dwarfdom altogether. He's not quite their monarch, but he's the closest thing they have to a Karl Franz. But even though he used to be the greatest Sorcerer Prophet of all time, his time is passing. The only thing that keeps him strong now is his mech suit. But as a wizard, he has gotten weaker and weaker down the years. It's not supposed to just be, oh, cool robot suit. The robot suit is trying to mitigate for Astrogoth weakening because the effects of chaos are taking their toll on him and making him turn to stone, because dwarfs are not supposed to do what he does. And 8th edition Astrogoth was a little too just terrifying without that air of, yes, you've gained magical power and you've gained this robotic body, but at what cost? 4th edition miniature, like I said, was goofy. And they've done a much better job of making it where you can take it seriously. But I thought the 4th edition character had so much more. And so I'm glad they went with him instead. Mostly.
To seize the world with
and he's still got the banners on his back. I'm glad they haven't got rid of the whole Chaos Dwarf back banner thing.
fire.
Oh, that's good. He looks grumpy and old. He looks grumpy and old, as he should. If my legs turned to stone, I would also probably get pretty grumpy.
To see it burn first.
You can see the Kadai's veins fill with fire. There we go. There's the Infernal Engine with the little man hacks on front. That's nice to see. A Lamassu breathing magic fire. The siege engines firing their guns. There we go, the Kadai Fireborn. They're monstrous infantry. These are metal constructs that have had demons bound into them because the Chaos Dwarfs don't trust demons enough to let them run around freely like the other worshippers of Chaos tend to. Okay, and let's see. We can see a Chaos Dwarf Lord or Sorcerer Prophet riding on either a Lamassu or a Bale Taurus, or the fiery legs make me think it's a Bale Taurus. Alright, we got Bull Centaurs, we got Goblin Slaves, we got Orc Slaves, we got Dwarf Warriors, Kadai Fireborn, and they are sieging a dwarf city. And there is okay, this looks like that is a Lord riding a Bale Taurus, and then a Demonsmith Sorcerer riding a Lamassu. Lamassus are the more associated magical mount. I don't think regular dwarf lords can ride Lamassu, because Lamassus are the wizard mount. There we go, there's the Kadai Destroyer. The Kadai Destroyer, I don't believe, had its miniature ever officially released. I believe there was a prototype shown at like some kind of expo or convention, and it was never released. So this is really cool to see. I am very curious to see what modders will end up doing with the Kadai as well, because there were like there were like 5, maybe 4 or 5 Kadai Destroyer variants in the Storm of Magic book. And all of them were pretty wildly different. The budget for Creative Assembly to do it at DLC level quality is not there. However, I would be curious to see a modder, reskin like a dragon and make it look more mechanized, or the winged Kadai Destroyer. Or try and use asset editor to put a dwarf model on a skeleton of one of the giant constructs, like probably not the Terracotta Sentinel, but along those lines. Make it look more mechanized for the Kadai Colossus, so on. Now that's a great shot. That's a great shot. Am I in 4K? I am. Hang on. Wish I could get rid of the YouTube overlay here and just take a nice big screen. You know what? I'll do it anyways. I'll just hit print screen. Now, that'll probably be the thumbnail, too. Let's see. How have I forgotten where the print screen button is? Oh. New keyboard. Okay, yeah, the Chaos Dwarfs look crazy. They look great. This gives us nothing about the campaign. It doesn't have to. Because honestly, the Chaos Dwarf campaign mechanics, I have no idea what we're coming up on, other than presumably a slave mechanic similar to the Dark Elves. A lot of people say that they want the Fall of the Shogun railroad mechanic. That would be odd. I don't think the Chaos Dwarfs are really known for actually building railroads. The trains they build don't need railroads, guys. They go wherever they want. But I have confidence in Crave Assembly. I'm a big Crave Assembly shill. So I was really looking forward to the unit visuals, and this is a pretty good display. This, April 13th, gonna be a good time. And it's only, well, that's about a month away. I've got plenty to do in the meantime. Boy. So, yeah, this is some great looking stuff. I like how you can see that big idled HASHUT background. I'm really curious to see how they expand the lore. Because in order to fill out the tech tree, to fill out the building tree, all that, Crave Assembly is going to have to make probably a lot of new lore for the Chaos Dwarf. The Chaos Dwarfs didn't have a whole lot hashed out on how exactly their society works. Just a lot of talk about the dark, billowing smoke of industry, and the perversion of what makes the dwarfs great. Stuff like that. So, I'm really curious to see just about everything involved with it. This looks great. I am delighted to see it. So, yeah, gonna be more talk about the Chaos Dwarfs in the future here on the channel. Get ready for that. Because Crave Assembly, this starts the month-long hype cycle. We are going to see the other Legendary Lords revealed. We're probably going to see a deep dive on Astrogoth. Probably some talks about lore. Some blogs about their campaign mechanics. Some blogs about their unit roster. All in all, very, very exciting stuff. Either which way, I will see you folks later. And wish you all well in your endeavors. What am I saying? I'm just making stuff up to make an outro. Whatever. I'm going to end the video here. See y'all later.